Hi ladies, this is Ashley Kay, and today I wanted to do a slightly different format for my video and also talk about how to make a man fear losing you. So first, this is something I've been thinking about recently, and I think when we go into dating and wanting to influence a man who we really like, okay, say you really like this guy, you have a solid connection, you have solid chemistry, but you feel like although things are going great, it could be better, okay? You feel like he could be closer, you could be closer, or there's some things that happened that makes you fear that he is pulling away from you or he is entertaining other options. So what I call this is a very normal transitional point from going from dating to a relationship. This is very normal. It's not a straight line, okay? It comes with it bumps in the road. You're going to have bumps. And that feeling, the feeling of fear, is a very natural feeling when you are transitioning from dating to relationships. And emotions, like fear, but all emotions, I believe, are there to serve us. They're all there as a positive thing in our lives. Maybe not all emotions are welcome all the time, but they are there to serve us and there for a reason. So any emotion you have is trying to tell you something. There is a message behind that emotion that you're getting. So in terms of fear, okay, fear is telling you a very specific message. And that message is, I found something really great, very valuable, and now I fear losing that thing. Okay, I feel like it's pulling away from me. I feel like I'm losing it. That's what fear is triggering in you, and you feel that, okay? Women are naturally very intuitive about reading people or reading situations. So if you find yourself, going on YouTube and asking questions like this, not being sure if a guy's into you, not into you, or what's going on, or, trying to get solutions, it's most likely because that anxiety is triggered in you and it's causing you to have self-doubt. Because we're feeling the feeling of anxiety and fear, okay, similar kind of feelings, because we sense, okay, we have a sixth sense that what we know it should look like, which is that closeness with a man, is not our reality right now. Okay, so what you want, okay, that closeness with a man on a daily basis, you're not getting that, okay? That and the reality, there's a gap between the two right now. And your body is telling you there is a gap, and you should pay attention to that, because you're probably thinking you're heading towards a commitment or relationship when you want that, but that's not the case right now. So that is what fear is trying to tell you. There's a signal. It's a very important signal that you should pay attention to, because human beings, we like to do things based on reality and not just fantasy, right? Okay, so first, know that this signal is there to serve us and to help us. How do we resolve this? And how do we, make the fear go away, okay? And most likely, our fear is telling us, okay, how do I make him fear losing us? Okay, if he fears losing me, then I probably wouldn't feel this way. I'd probably feel pretty secure, pretty comfortable. Okay, because you want him to feel as into you as you feel about him. So, okay, so in order to, first of all, know that you have a tremendous amount of influence over people in general, okay? You as a human being with the energy that you're emitting out into the world, you have influence. You just, as a default, you have influence, okay? The more you realize you have influence and you have power, the more you can actually influence other people the way you want. if you don't realize you have this power, if you don't realize you have influence, it's kind of like you're cutting off a limb, okay? It's like you have a hand, but if you never use it, then you pretty much act like you don't have a hand. You pretty much don't have a hand, okay, if you never use it, right? So a lot of women, there are skills that they have that they're not utilizing or using because they don't even realize they have the power to use it. It's like having doors, you know, inside you that are closed, they're locked. Okay, there's doors there that can open into skill sets and abilities, but you keep them locked, they're locked, or you don't know, but they're subconsciously locked to you, you can't see them. So therefore you don't know that you can use them, right? So I'm opening a door for you right now, which is that you do have a lot of influence over other people, especially men. The closer a man gets to you, the more power you have over him, the more influence you have over him. Now, you may not think this is the case because, like I said, you have doors that are locked to you, so you don't even know that you have power, okay? And probably some men would like it that way because that guy wants the power. He wants to be like, you know, she does what I say. But in the end, it doesn't have to be that way, okay? So, knowing that you have a lot of power and influence, okay, over this guy, there are some things you can do to move him along that commitment line, okay? I really don't want to, it's not necessarily like a straight line, like dating to relationships, but there are definitely certain things that I feel are important, okay? That are important in facilitating the feeling of closeness. And that is what I'm really talking about. When what you're trying to get isn't so much a commitment, because commitment could just be a label, okay? A guy can tell you you're his girlfriend and not treat you like one, okay? And still flirt with other women. So the label, forget the labels. The labels doesn't matter. What you're really after is the feeling of safety, of comfort, of security on a daily basis with your man, okay? If you're not getting that daily, that's what you're trying to aim for. That's what you're trying to get to. When you feel safe and secure and comfortable with your man, knowing he's not going to leave, knowing he has only eyes for you and he's only paying attention to you, that's true commitment. Okay, to get him to that point, and also, by the way, if he is acting that way with you, that's how you will feel that fear, that anxiety disappear. You won't be worried about losing him, although there might still be a little bit of that, but that becomes less and less and less over time. You won't be worried about that. He's going to be the one to probably fear losing you, okay? And that of course gives you a lot of confidence and security, which once again, that's what we're after, confidence and security and safety in our relationship, right? So to get to that point, you need to get through some barriers, okay? I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's not going to be a walk in the park. It's not going to be an easy, straight road there to that destination. It's not going to be easy. And in particular, feelings like fear and anxiety will come up time and time and time again. You're gonna have to face fear and anxiety a few times, okay? I don't know how many times, probably a couple of times before you get to the end goal, what you're after, which is security and safety with that guy. So knowing that, I'm just telling you that to prepare you for the journey ahead, okay? Because it's not like you can just send a guy some magic text messages, say some magic words, and then suddenly you feel safe and secure and comfortable every day with him, and because he falls in love with you somehow magically, and then everything's great. Okay, it's not really going to work that way. What will happen though is you're gonna have to face some challenging times, and I want to, I guess, help you navigate through those challenging times, right? So first of all, for a guy to really get to that point with you, he must feel like he can really trust you with his feelings. Okay, there's a number one thing. If you want a guy to be fully committed to you, who fears losing you, he has to feel absolute trust in you with his feelings. Okay, trust is a huge thing. So once again, it's like you want to get so close with someone that you basically like overlap, right? Your souls overlap. You know, that saying two becomes one. You know, in a lot of love songs, that two becomes one. I think it's a Spice Girl song. But basically that's what happens. Two individual beings, they become so close, they overlap, and they basically become one soul or one, you know, ball or whatever. That's what you need to get to. Now, it doesn't mean when you get to that point you can't like separate again. And in fact, it's healthy to separate and come back again, separate and come back again. That's how you keep the spark, keep the passion in your relationship, so you're not always like glued together like this. But to get to that point of being overlapping, he needs to trust you, like that exercise, you know, when you like fall backwards and someone behind you catches you. He needs to trust by leaning into you and then falling. Okay, there's a point where he feels enough trust is being built up. It's like that momentum when you go backwards. There's a certain point where you can't stop yourself anymore. You just fall. Okay, so it's not exactly a straight line, you know, to that goal. It's literally like, it's in the beginning it's going to be a bit slow, and then it's just going to fall on you, fall into your arms in safety kind of thing. And when he falls on you, that's when you have that overlapping of souls, right? So in order to get him leaning on you to start that process, you need to make him trust you with his feelings. Okay, trust is huge for a guy. Guys really need trust. Okay, he needs to feel like he can trust you in order to fall for you and commit to you. Now, the big question is, how do we gain a man's trust with his feelings? Good question. This is where you're gonna have to face some uglies, okay? And this is where fear and anxiety and the need to be vulnerable in the face of all that comes into play. Because if you want someone else to trust you, fully trust you, you must step out on a limb first. Okay, you must make yourself vulnerable first. So, a really concrete, real life example would be, you know, say you and your partner go to a social event on the weekend, and during the event something happened. You know, maybe he was talking to some other girl for a little too long and you got annoyed at that. And either way, you got a bit annoyed. So it bothered you. Okay, bothered you that he was talking to someone else. You were a bit upset. You know, you start spiraling down in your thoughts of being annoyed and all that kind of stuff. But you keep that inside. You don't say anything to him. And you probably don't want to come across like a bitch, like a little cray-cray, you know. So you keep that inside. You act kind of quiet, and then you talk yourself out of it, and you say, okay, it's nothing, it's fine, I'm cool with it, I'm gonna be fine. Like, you know, you want to be the warrior princess, so you want to put on your you know, like your mask on and be like, I'm cool. Everyone can probably sense, like when you're trying to act a certain way that you're not, everyone can feel, you know, that something's wrong. They can feel it, right? Even if he doesn't say anything, a lot of guys won't. Okay, and a lot of guys are not going to call you out and say, is something wrong? Like, why are you upset? He's not going to say anything. He's just going to act normal, completely normal, like he didn't see anything. Like he's blind, right? So most women wouldn't say anything. Now I'm saying if you want to develop that trust with him, you've got to open up about that particular situation. So what you do is you sit him down at a time where he's not busy, okay? He's not at work, he's not busy on a phone, he's not playing a video game, he's not watching footy, okay? Make sure he's not doing anything, that's taking his full attention. And, he's sitting there doing not much, just browsing his phone maybe, not doing a lot. That's the time you go to him and say, honey, I need to talk to you about something. Be prepared for him to freeze up, okay? Freeze up and just maybe not even look at you. Maybe he's still like, okay. Like, be looking on his phone. But you still have to get it out, okay? You need to communicate this to him. And that's when you say, last weekend when we went to that friend's party, I was a bit upset that weekend because you were talking to Joanne and instead of talking to me, okay? You just sharing, okay? At this point, you're just sharing your feelings. You're sharing what happened that upset you and you're telling him your feelings, being vulnerable first. Now, a lot of guys probably, he's not gonna welcome this information, okay? Guys usually don't like, at least he's not going to show on his face that he's liking this conversation. But it's very important, okay? Because this is your leeway into his emotions. You can't get to his emotions, his feelings, without sharing your feelings. So you've got to share your feelings, the vulnerable stuff that you don't want to tell him, right? The ugly stuff that you would rather just pretend away, so you can just act like the cool girlfriend, the cool chick, 24/7. Unfortunately, that's not going to work if you want to build that bond with him. Not gonna work. So after you tell him that, after you share, then it's his turn. Now you say, well, what do you think? Okay, so you put the ball in his court to share now what he thought. Okay, and he'll as a man, he'll probably use his head to rationalize things, to logic his way through the answer, which is fine. If he needs to do that. Sometimes women get into that rationalization phase as well, and then, which is fine, like he'll be using his head, and then you just say, okay, so how do you feel about us? How do you feel about me? Okay, it's a great way to get into the feelings, okay? Asking some more feeling questions, because he's already there with you emotionally. You're already having that, like a deeper conversation. So that's a great way to then leeway into the feelings about you, about the relationship. And hopefully he'll open up. When you're trying to get a man to open up his feelings and you're asking feeling questions, you've got to really lean back into your feminine and be open to receiving it. Where a lot of women make the mistake is they may say, I want to know what you're feeling. I want to know what's going on. And then the next breath, they'll just cut in with what they were thinking, what they were feeling, okay? They don't give the guy a chance to really speak his truth. Now, this is something you got to really watch out for, okay? You got to give him enough space to open up, because the guy can't, men are just not that used to expressing their feelings to begin with, but now you're asking him to really think about it and to express it into words. You got to give him time. It's going to take some processing. He's going to be thinking about it, thinking about the right words to choose. And most likely to start with, he's going to say very little. He'd probably say, I don't know, I think you're cool. I think everything's great, just like really vague statements like that, okay? To start with, he's going to be very vague. Just expect the vagueness. But it's a sign that this is the stepping stone towards him trusting you, towards him opening up. then what you want to say is just ask some better questions to make him expand that answer. So then you could say, okay, what do you mean by that? Can you give me some examples? Like, I don't understand what great means. Can you just clarify a bit more? Yeah, just get him to expand on it. Actually ask him to expand on it. And now he'll have to think a bit more. And, it's another 10 minutes waiting in silence while he devises an answer. But you got to expect the silence, okay? Be comfortable with the silence. Don't be impatient. I know a lot of times, and I've had this with my husband, where I'll be sitting there waiting for an answer, and literally 10 minutes pass and we're just sitting in silence, and I'm just like, did he remember he was meant to answer my question? And usually that's when I'll just nudge him a bit and be like, well, are you gonna say anything? Sometimes men need a little bit of a nudging. But in general, try to be patient, and if you're gonna push him to answer, be more loving about it. Don't demand an answer, okay? You need to be a bit more sensitive to how he would take your words, and just be patient for him to open up. Now, also, when he does open up, and I've seen this, you've got to be receptive to his answers, because sometimes he may not always say things you want to hear. And here's something women need to understand. If you want the guy to trust you with his feelings, you have to be able to accept his feelings. You have to accept his truth, okay? You can't, if you allow yourself to get upset, annoyed, to react to what he's saying to you when he's opening up, you just instantly shut that connection down. That teaches him he can't open up to you. He will not trust you to share his feelings, okay? That's a big no-no. When he starts to open up, you got to be like, yeah, like a cheerleader. Encourage him to open up more, even if the truth hurts, even if it's not something you want to hear. Yes, and you got to go there. I mean, I told you it's not going to be an easy ride. To get to true commitment, the merging of souls, it's going to be bumpy. It's going to be friggin' ugly, okay? But I'm just telling you the truth. And this is where, as a woman, you're going to be tested as a woman. Your emotional maturity will be tested. How well can you ride that wave, okay, of emotions, of your emotions? How well can you control and monitor your emotions because of what he's saying? Because the better you can monitor your emotions, the better then you can monitor his. Like I said in the beginning, you have a lot of power and influence over him. So when you can control your emotions and know how to, go from intense and angry to calm, okay, if you know how to do that consistently, you can monitor his, and you can make him calm as well. So what the end goal is, that end goal of that conversation is you want to return to love. Always go back to love. Because we're in relationships to be loved, okay? Both men and women. So you don't just want this intense, awkward conversation and then be like, oh, let's go make lunch, okay? You don't want that. You want always to close it off with love, with acceptance. You go through the ugly stuff, you go through a bit of uncomfortableness, a bit of anxiety, a bit of uncertainty, him saying things you may not like to hear, and then you controlling your emotions, being like, oh, it's okay, just accepting whatever he's saying. You need to speak your truth, but you don't need to punish him for opening up, okay? So there's a difference there. And then once he is opened up, you've shared your part, he's shared his part, then you need to lead him back to love, which is where you give him a smile, put your hand on his arm, give him a hug, give him a kiss, find some way of resolving that situation, package it up nicely, in a gift box and bow tie and whatever, and then just put it away. Okay, that's a nice little experience there. And that even though it didn't seem like a lot, well, it was pretty ugly, but that interaction that you've just created intimacy. Okay, you just shown him he can trust you with his feelings. So next time it's going to be even easier. He'll be able to open up even more. When you do this a couple of times, doesn't take that much. Do this a couple of times and he's yours. Okay, you won't even know what happened. Like, he is committed to you. You're like close because you've got that merging of souls happening, right? Because you don't need much. He doesn't need to lean towards you that much to fall, right? But do keep in mind, if you punish him at any point in that process, you're gonna prolong it. It's like he'll take 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And if you do it too many times, punish him too many times, yeah, he just keep pulling away. He'll stop calling, okay? Because you've just proven to him he can't trust you. So that is pretty much what I want to say. That's the video for this week. I hope that's been helpful to make him fear losing you. Remember, a lot of it is about you, inside, outside. You're taking care of yourself first, okay? Your emotions first, your emotional state, knowing how to navigate your own emotions to be able to influence yourself and then him, okay? You can't influence him without influencing yourself first. Okay, do you first, and then your energy will just bleed out onto him as a default, okay? It'll be a lot easier. That's it from me. If you have any questions, leave me some feedback, and I'll be back with more videos soon.